I was the most famous WWE star, but I committed a horrific act that would change my life forever. My name is Tamara Lynn Sitch, better known under my wrestling name, Sunny. I quickly rose to fame in the WWE for not only my looks, but my great combat skills. After a lengthy career, I was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame and life was going great. In 2022, I turned age 50, and one night, while I was celebrating with some drinks, I decided to drive home, even though I wasn't sober. I ended up crashing into the back of an old man's car at a stoplight while I was going a high speed. He died on impact, and 4 others received minor injuries. But my story gets even worse. You see, I had been arrested for driving under the influence 6 times before this incident happened. I didn't learn from my crimes, and it costed the life of a poor old man. Many people question why I wasn't put in prison after so many instances, or why I still had my driver's license. I went to court and was found guilty, and was sentenced to 25 years in prison. If only I had been stopped during my previous instances, then this would have never happened, and a man would still have his life. Follow for more stories. For more.
On the day that 5-year-old Summer Wells went missing, she spent a few hours swimming at this watering hole with her mom, her grandmother, and a 15-year-old boy. Just a few hours later, she vanished on June 15th, 2021, and she has never been seen since. Did something happen at this watering hole? What happened to Summer? On Candace's TikTok, she posted a video of Summer swimming and a video of Hunter. She deleted that TikTok video, but I'm gonna show it to you. That was the last video taken of Summer. What happened here? Did Summer drown? One of the stories is that Hunter, Candace, Summer's mom, and Grandis, who is Summer's grandmother, they were at the parking lot over there, and Summer was over here swimming alone, and they were charging their phones at the cars, and they happened to look behind their shoulder and they saw that Summer was under the water. That's where the rumors about the drowning situation started. The last picture that was ever taken of Summer Wells has shocked the internet because it's a bit concerning. She is leaning over this empty milk carton and it looks a bit strange. Maybe she was sleeping, or maybe some people say that they think something happened to her. It looks like her hand might be blue. There's a lot of suspicions revolving around this last photo that was taken of Summer the day that she disappeared. I'll just show you how there's a trail here, and right here is a rock I saw that says, "Find Summer Moon." Find Summer. There's a trail. This is Warrior State Park. The trail goes all along here, and there's all woods back here. Summer is not the only family member that has gone missing. Candace Wells' sister, Rose, went missing in Wisconsin over a decade ago. She vanished without a trace, just like Summer Wells, Candace's daughter. One major red flag is that Summer's parents didn't search for her. They claim that she was abducted from their property, but many people on the internet speculate that Summer is buried on her parents' property or somewhere in the nearby vicinity.
Gabriel Fernandez teacher celebrates his 18th birthday with her son.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Gable.
Have you ever wondered who this character is based on? It's loosely based on the real story of Barbara Sklova, and it's really, really disturbing. Quick trigger warning before I get into it, because the details are horrific and there's mentions of child abuse and cannibalism. Back in 2006, Barbara was living in the Czech Republic. She suffers from a glandular disease that makes her appear smaller and younger than she actually is, and she managed to convince people that she was a 13-year-old girl named Annika, when in fact she was 32. Annika managed to manipulate her way into this woman's life. This is Klara Marova, and she lived in the same area with her 2 sons, Andre and Jacob, who were 8 and 9. Klara liked to talk about her belief that she was destined to fulfill a mission from God. and her sister Katerina ended up joining a cult that was run by a man named Joseph. This cult believed that they were completely absolved to commit crimes, and the leader, Joseph, was actually Annika, or Barbara's, father. Their ideas and views were completely warped, and Barbara used this to her full advantage. Clara's sister Katerina actually knew full well that Annika was a 32-year-old woman, not a teenager, but Clara had no idea, and she began to treat her like a daughter. Due to ill health, Annika had lots of doctor's appointments, but she'd never let anyone go with her, and during these doctor's appointments, Clara began to receive really strange text messages and emails that she thought were from Annika's doctor. It's actually believed that it was Joseph. Annika's doctor claimed that Annika was being abused by Clara's 2 sons, and that they had to be cured of all evil. Of course, this was all lies. The boys were completely innocent. Clara became extremely abusive towards Andre and Jacob, beating them with her bare hands, wooden spoons and a belt. But in August 2006, the doctor said that these punishments weren't working and they had to try something else: shock therapy. Clara was instructed to take the boys to a cottage in the woods, and when she got there, her sister Katerina was waiting for her, with a man that's thought to be Annika's brother, and 2 other women, Jan and Hannah. This cottage became absolute hell on earth for the 2 boys. They were locked inside dog cages, barely big enough to sit up in. They were forced to eat from dog bowls and forced to sit in their own feces and urine. They were shocked through the bars, and when they were let out of the cages, they were beaten by the whole group. And Annika would often tell the adults that the boys were bullying her because she knew that the punishments would be ramped up. The boys often had their heads submerged in water until they were close to drowning, and they had cigarette burns all over their bodies. That's not even the worst of it. Just a quick trigger warning again here, because the next part is absolutely horrific. The boys would be taken out of the cages and they'd have parts of their body skinned. So Clara and the rest of the group would remove skin from their legs and their buttocks, and then they would eat it. If that's not bad enough, they would also then force the boys to eat their own raw flesh. If they were sick, they'd make them eat that too. In September 2006, Clara decided to make Annika an official part of the family, and she adopted her. She then moved out of the cottage with Annika back to their house, closely followed by Katerina and the 2 boys. The abuse of the 2 boys started up again immediately. Annika was given her own room upstairs that was bright and colourful, whereas the boys were forced to sleep in the basement, often tied up and naked. This is when Clara set up a baby monitor in the basement to monitor the boys, and it was only by chance that they were rescued due to this baby monitor. The boys had suffered a further year of abuse in that basement, and then one evening one of the neighbours was checking his own baby monitor, and somehow the wires must have got crossed, and what appeared on his screen was Andre laying naked on the floor, tied up. He immediately called the police, and they went door to door until they found the 2 boys. Clara and Katerina were arrested, and the boys, along with Annika, went into care. This is when it was discovered that Annika was actually a 33-year-old woman, and it was too late by then because she'd managed to escape from the care home and flee to Oslo in Norway, where she began posing as a teenage boy. She was going by the name Adam, and she even enrolled in school and underwent breast reduction surgery and liposuction to appear more childlike. She was eventually found by the police and deported back to the Czech Republic, where she went on trial with Clara and Katerina. During the trial, all 3 women turned on each other and started to blame each other for the abuse. Barbara even went as far as saying that Clara and Katerina had abused her alongside the 2 boys, but the jury didn't believe her. Eventually, Katerina was sentenced to 10 years, Clara was sentenced to 9 years, and Barbara was sentenced to just 5 years, although she only served half of that sentence. Andre and Jacob recovered from the abuse after hospital treatment, and they were eventually adopted by an American family. Clara, Katerina and Barbara have all since been paroled.
The most wanted man in the UK, a suspected terrorist who served in the British Army, has escaped jail after sneaking out of the kitchen and clinging to a delivery van. Police have launched an urgent manhunt for ex-soldier Daniel Abed Khalif, 21, after he fled HMP Wandsworth, South London. Cops issued an alert to UK ports and airports about his escape, with passengers now stuck in long queues. It is believed that Khalif is most likely still in the London area, but he has connections to the northwest and could be anywhere in the UK. Khalif was last seen wearing the uniform of a white t-shirt, red and white checkered trousers and brown steel-toe cap boots, cops confirmed. The ex-soldier is accused of planting fake bombs at a UK military base. He is of slim build, has short brown hair and is around 6 feet 2 inches tall. The Met Police confirmed an alert has been put out by terror cops to police forces and law enforcement agencies across the country, including those at ports and borders. It was alleged Khalif left 3 canisters with wires at Maud Stafford in January this year. Khalif has links to the Kingston area, with the Met Police believing he is most likely still in London. People have been urged not to approach him and to call 999 instead.
I'm so angry and I'm so sick. Strap in for this one, guys, because this is a hard one. A trial has recently begun for a South Carolina couple that is being accused of murdering their 13-year-old disabled daughter by leaving her in the back of a smoldering hot vehicle for over 5 hours. She was left in a 135-degree vehicle for 5 hours and 40 minutes, to be exact. Unfortunately, 13-year-old Christina did not make it, and when paramedics arrived, she was covered in heat blisters by the time she was pulled out of the car. Surveillance footage was showed to the jury from their own home security cameras, and in this surveillance footage, you can see them place Christina inside of the car at 11:15 a.m. They closed the door behind them and left Christina in that car until 5 p.m. when paramedics finally pulled her out. So let's get into some of the details of this case, but if you have not seen the surveillance footage, I highly recommend going back to this comment and seeing the video where I posted the surveillance footage. On August 5th of 2019, police were called to the home of Larry and Rita after Rita's 13-year-old disabled daughter was reportedly not breathing. When police and paramedics arrived, they found 13-year-old Christina deceased in the back of the car, covered in blisters, and very obvious that she had vomited all over herself. At this point, Rita had told police that after they had put Christina inside of the car, they went back into Larry's house to grab cigarettes, and then when she came back outside, the car was locked. She claims that they quickly went to go get a new set of keys, and by the time they returned back, Christina was already dead inside of the back seat. But for some reason, that still makes no sense to me. They completely forgot that they had home surveillance cameras right in front of the house that captured the entire thing. The jury was shown a total of 4 hours and 15 minutes of surveillance footage from the moment they placed Christina inside of the car to the moment the paramedics pulled her out. There is just a little over an hour of footage missing, as the camera did not pick up any motion from the time that they went inside or from the time that they left the house. So let's go over the surveillance footage. At 11:16 a.m., you can very clearly see that Larry is carrying Christina and he places her in the back seat of the car. And I know all of the documents say that he just places her in the back seat, but in my opinion, it looks like he kind of tosses her in the back seat. They closed the doors and left Christina in the car, and again, they did not turn the car on and there was no AC on in the car. They then proceeded to spend roughly 30 minutes sitting on the front porch talking, and in Larry's testimony recently, he stated that apparently Rita had recently cheated on him, so they were arguing about that. They go inside of the house for roughly an hour until they come back outside around 1:45 p.m. They spend roughly 15 minutes talking outside, hugging and kissing up on each other until they go inside. And Larry testified that at this moment they went inside to go have relations. They did not come back out until over an hour later, around 3 p.m. At 3:03 p.m., Rita walks off of the porch and walks around the car checking all of the doors and kind of making obvious that all of the doors are locked. So whether this whole thing was accidental or not, what we do know is that this surveillance footage shows at 3 p.m. Rita knows for sure that Christina is locked inside of the back of this hot car. Rita and Larry then spend roughly 15 minutes trying to very gently open the windows of the car. You could tell they didn't even really put that much work into it. And then they go up on the porch and sit on this porch swing for about 15-20 minutes. Around 3:45 p.m., the couple leaves the home and they claim that at this point they went to go find extra keys to open the car, and they do not return back until roughly an hour later at 4:44 p.m. You can see in the video that when they pull up to the house, they don't seem to be in any rush whatsoever to get Christina out of the vehicle. And they even get out of the vehicle and look inside of the windows. I guess just to make sure that she's dead. When Christina was finally pulled out of the car by paramedics, her body temperature was 109 degrees, and she was covered in heat blisters. The paramedics also stated that it was very obvious that she had vomited and choked on the vomit as she couldn't move. It was very obvious that she passed away from a heat stroke, and investigators even stated that her body was at an advanced stage of decomposition because of the temperature inside of the vehicle. Even though her COD obviously just says heat stroke, she was essentially cooked to death as the temperature inside of that vehicle was 135 degrees. Now, our lovebirds, Rita and Larry, have since broken up, but they do maintain their innocence, claiming that they thought the car was on and that the AC was on. But in my opinion, after seeing that surveillance footage, I think it's very obvious that this was intentional. Now their trial has begun on August 29th of 2023, and so far there has been 3 days of testimonies. So I will obviously be making another part to this video as soon as I am able to get through all of these testimonies, so bear with me, it's quite a lot. Also, really quickly before I do end this video, I would like to take a moment to send my sincerest condolences to any loved ones of Christina. I know there are lots of people in this world that loved her, and it's extremely unfortunate that the one person she trusted the most is the one person who hurt her the most.
What's up, everybody? All right, you guys, so before we get started, I really need you guys to blow this one up because we need your help in finding 26-year-old Kevin McGrath. Now, 26-year-old Kevin was on the Carnival Conquest cruise ship over Labor Day weekend with his family. So this cruise ship was sailing from Miami to the Bahamas. Now, the McGrath family enjoyed Labor Day weekend, and they say on Sunday night going into Monday morning, Kevin was last seen by his brother in their cabin. So around 2 a.m. on September 4th is the last time that Kevin was actually seen. After that, Kevin's family is saying that they have not seen him or heard from him since. Now, his family is also saying that he was supposed to meet with them that Monday morning before the cruise ship went back to Florida and they were supposed to go home. But Kevin never showed up to breakfast that morning, so they knew something was wrong. So his family alerted the cruise ship that he was missing because when it came time to get off the ship, he was nowhere to be found. Now, the cruise ship did review the surveillance and they saw that Kevin did not go overboard. So the cruise ship then had to contact Miami-Dade police, and that's when they began their investigation into the disappearance of Kevin McGrath. So the U.S. Coast Guard was still contacted even though they didn't have surveillance of him going overboard. They did an extensive search of the water and they did not find Kevin anywhere. So there is no record of him leaving this ship. There is no record of him going overboard. It's like he just disappeared. So after the police searched this whole ship for Kevin, they then cleared this ship to go back to the Bahamas. So even though Kevin has not been found, we know that he never left this ship. They still let the ship go back to wherever it was going. Now, Kevin's family is left speechless. They don't know what to do. They don't know where to search because for all they know, he never left the ship. They've taken to social media. They've went to the news. They went everywhere they can go in order to spread awareness in order to bring Kevin back home. Now, I've never been on a cruise, but I don't know if there's surveillance in those hallways in order to track to see if maybe he left his cabin that night at some time and maybe went somewhere else. But there has to be some type of trace of Kevin somewhere. Now, knowing that he never went overboard, something had to have happened while he was on that ship. Now, Kevin is 5'9". He's about 170 pounds. He has brown hair, brown eyes, and he was last seen wearing a black t-shirt, black shorts, and gray sneakers. On the missing person flyer, it says that he's missing from the port of Miami. And you guys, he was last seen at 2 a.m. at his cabin, which was cabin number 1326. Now, if you have any information on the disappearance of Kevin McGrath, please contact Miami police. And if you were on this cruise, if you saw Kevin, if you saw his family, if you heard anything, please contact police as well. I'm quite sure that Kevin was not the only one out of his cabin around 2 a.m., so somebody had to have seen something. Now, y'all know we don't get a lot of news coverage as it is. Make sure you blow this up, share this. Let's bring Kevin back home to his family. And make sure you comment below and let me know your thoughts on this case.
People are dead after a shooting at a Galveston beach house.
The shooter is on the run this afternoon. The gunfire erupted overnight during a party at a home on Mendocino Drive. Here's reporter Troy Kless with what he's learned about one of the victims.
holiday weekend celebration turned into chaos after gunfire erupted at a beach house here in Galveston, and it leaves a tight-knit community broken. A family arriving to hear awful news of their loved one. A mom identified her son as 21-year-old Brian Darden II from Brazoria County. She describes him as a father of 2 kids with a heart of gold, and family say his death was senseless. Friends and family say Darden was from Sweeney and lived in Lake Jackson while working at a plant. Police are not sure what exactly led up to the shooting.
It makes me worrisome, because me and my wife come down here very often, And
a neighbor woke up to several police cars parked outside his street. It's unclear where the shooter may have gone.
The only safety concern is we don't have some cameras in this neighborhood, for the entrance and the exits, and so we don't know who's coming in and leaving. If they had cameras, they'd know which car fled the scene.
Multiple people were also hurt. Police have interviewed several witnesses, but they're asking anyone with information to call detectives. In Galveston, Troy Kless, KHOU 11 News.
Breaking news, they have now released a letter from Chris Watts in prison, as well as a pen pal says he confessed. Chris Watts is serving time in a Wisconsin prison as a custodian. During his time, he has been exchanging letters with female pen pals. Many of these women believe that Chris Watts is innocent. He told one of the pen pals that he would, quote, daydream about taking Shanann's life. He said he would be standing there and she would be yelling at him about something and he would not fight back. He would just stand there and daydream about what it would be like to take her life. One of the women who decided to write him, who got a confession out of him, said, quote, I knew he was guilty. You could tell by the way he was talking, the body language. In writing the letter, she said, but it was just one of those things where I really felt like I was supposed to do it. He eventually replied to her after the 3rd letter in the beginning of 2019. She said, quote, he was receptive from the very beginning. He said that God told him to respond. I think because I was a mother and grandmother, he didn't feel any kind of threat. He then sent her a 12-page letter outlining the details of each crime. She said she knew right then and there that it was a true confession, as he said it was planned. He also stated he wanted to start over and did not want to bring any baggage into a new relationship. After exchanging multiple letters, she went to speak with him in person. This meeting lasted about 3 hours. Here is a look at one of the letters written by Chris Watts. Pause to read. Keep you guys updated. What do you think? Drop in the comments.